Hello, my friends. Today I wanted to tell you about my visit to the Etruscan Necropolis of Cerveteri in Italy, which was built between 9th and 1st century BC. And I wanted to share with you a strange experience that happened to me while we were there. This necropolis, what it is, it's supposed to be tombs. At least that's what all official website says. And the whole village of tombs, it can be described as a village with these small tombs, but what they really are these little houses with very little rooms, yet tall enough for a person to high enough for a person to stand, and they're carved in a rock with an elaborate ornament on top. As soon as we arrived there, first of all, I wanted to tell you we were met by a white dog and a black cat, which I find that strange. I'm like, oh boy, what is about to happen? White and black, the two principles, something's coming. And as we continued our walk down the alley, you immediately feel that this place is not a graveyard. Because when you hear tombs, one imagines something that is going to have the vibe of graves. But that was not the case. That being said, it was sure strange enough. At the very beginning, there is this, what appears to be what we know now, a tomb that you go down a lot of stairs, you go really down, and then behind the glass you see what you believe might have been a tomb with elaborate paintings. Now, here comes the strange experience. Upon climbing up the stairs, once I got up again, in front of me, right there was this enormous, huge eye. That's right, just an eye, kind of all-seeing eye. The eye did not have a color. I cannot describe what color it had. It definitely did not look like an eye that what we're used to see. It didn't have the white part of it, but it was all one color, a combination of gray and red. Yes, there was a lot of red. And it kind of covered, it was a very big eye that covered almost all the landscape all around me. It was seeing right through me. It was seeing all that I was, that I've ever been, and that I will ever be. This encounter with this eye lasted about 2 to 3 seconds, very briefly. No, I did not get scared. I just let it happen. After this experience, what happened was I just became very cautious and was paying close attention to everything happening at that place. Going back to the tombs, the whole place is something like a village, almost like a city that has these they're called like tombs, but they're like small quarters that are carved in a stone. And I peeked in one of them, and they're these small rooms, and they have carved beds in them. Inside is very cold. There was lightning inside, but I would assume back in time there was no light, so it should have been very dark. And I kind of felt like I almost should not be peeking much inside these so-called tombs. There were a lot of them. In fact, they were kind of almost built in a organized geometrical way. In a way, there were alleys, there were even different neighborhoods if you want to. Things were, it looked like a town to me. Again, I did not get a feeling that those were really tombs. On top of these tombs carved in a rock, there was quite a bit of soil, and there was a lot of grass and shrubs. So you don't really know if those so-called tombs might actually have been little houses at a certain point in time. But this is what the official websites are telling you, that these were Etruscan tombs. So that's why I went to see it, being very interested in the Etruscans and their history. When you're there, walk around, take pictures, and kind of ponder on what is that you're really seeing, and especially pay attention to how you feel. My intuition, what I felt, my experience told me that these were not really tombs. This was actually, I kind of felt strange that this was actually a world, a dimension, a time, an invisible world together, positioned in our visible world. I cannot explain this in human language, but that was the feeling that I had. It was as if there were beings living there. It was again another world living together with our own world within it. Once you walk down the alleys, somehow in the center of it all, there appears to be one very big open space. This is where you can actually see even around, there are hills to the side, and one of these hills is, I perceive that hill to be a pyramid. It had the shape of a pyramid, it felt like a pyramid. It was, of course, overgrown with trees, but we all, the whole group, saw, and we all thought this might be a pyramid. So this view you can see from the center. There is a center of the Etruscan Necropolis where there are no tombs, just one big open space. And at that point in time, I personally had the feeling that we are watched. Somehow I had that strange perception, feeling. This is what I am telling you here on the screen, is that big open space. And this is the feeling I had, that my whole group was being watched. It was not whoever was watching us, I did not feel like it was somebody malevolent, neither it was somebody benevolent. It was just, we were being watched without any emotions. And I also had the feeling that we only can spend there a certain amount of time. Even though that place is extremely peaceful and tranquil, like, you almost feel like time doesn't exist. You kind of go, you almost forget why you're there, you forget your purpose, you forget that you're sightseeing. It's has a very, very different vibe, very, very different energy altogether. So when you're there, you have these overwhelming feelings of something being so different, of a culture, the Etruscan culture, that I've always been very interested in. And of course, people now say that those were tombs, and because very little is left from the Etruscan architecture, the regular scientists tell you that those were tombs. I tend to disagree that those were tombs because it must have taken quite a bit of effort, quite a bit of work to dig so many quarters, living quarters in these stones, and that must have been very labor intense and very hard. May I remind you, there were a lot of them as well. There was a wall, however, you see here on the screen right now, that there was these little kind of holes that you don't know where they were going, but this more kind of resonates with perhaps being a tomb, because this was kind of in the ground, really low. So this, you see here, this on the screen a little bit ago. Going back to the Etruscan culture, I tend to, because we as Homo sapiens, we always need to suggest what something might have been. And to me, we not always can suggest what this could have been, because frankly, we don't have any idea, we don't have a clue. But if I can suggest, if I can kind of express an opinion of what this place might have been, is that this was either an actual village where people lived, or like the second hypothesis, that the more outrageous one, would be that these were some kind of places where people can retreat, can go in these dark tombs, dark houses, away from the outside world, very quiet, very dark, very cold, and kind of meditate, kind of retreat to their own being, and perhaps try to connect to the divine this way, when you isolate yourself from the outside world, from all the sensory input from the outside world, and you go inside these I do not even want to call them tombs, the small places carved in a rock. This was the purpose, perhaps this might have been the purpose of these tombs, nowadays are called. Again, we do not know anything about the Etruscans. We still don't know where they come from, and we know very little about their language as well. However, this necropolis of Cerveteri is a place that I will never forget, because the first time in my life I felt like there is indeed another world of beings, of culture, of energy that is living right there together with our world. And just experiencing this is so unbelievably fantastic. Also, may I remind you that there are very, very few people that visit these kind of sites. So whenever you go, chances are there will be very few travelers around, which may be a good thing, because it will help you focus and concentrate more on what you're seeing. I wish you a wonderful trip to the Etruscan Necropolis in Cerveteri. Thank you for watching.